I don't even have time to hit the intro. I really don't. I'm not hitting any music or any booze. Hello, everybody. Welcome, Sixers wrap-up show. Powered by 97.5 The Fanatic, where I'm live 10 to 2 Monday through Friday. And this morning I was yelling a lot about Joel Embiid. Point blank, and the story is this, boys. 76ers went down to San Antonio in a game that they were 7.5-point underdogs. It was as high as 8.5. That was with Wemby in the lineup. That was with Joel Embiid in the lineup. Everything all baked in together. And we looked like we had ourselves a pretty good battle there. And Wemby goes down. Joel Embiid finishes with 34. I guess I'm going to simplify it. The Spurs got what they needed for everybody else when Wemby went down, and the Sixers got nothing, including Maxey with an unbelievable dud. I think he was scoreless. Tyrese Maxey was finished at 15. He didn't score a bucket in the first half.
Correct.
Nope.
He had 0 at halftime.
Christ. And that's the story of the game. You had one team that had everybody else step up when their big piece goes down, and the other team that just really isn't. I mean, they got their moments where they're good, but they're not really a good team. Come on, man. I don't know. Sean Bernard, I'll start with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pissed off and fired up after that one, to be honest. That this was a game that I thought they absolutely had multiple chances to win, and they just did not do the necessary steps. They scored 17 points in the fourth quarter tonight. Paul George scored 3 points in the second half tonight. Tyrese Maxey had 0 points in the first half tonight. Joel Embiid was spectacular tonight, I thought. On both ends of the floor, I thought he was pretty terrific, and he had nothing around him. We're after timeouts. Going to Kelly Oubre Jr. ISOs and Andre Drummond corner threes were some of the decisions that were made by this team tonight. This was a game that I thought was winnable, that they had a chance to go out there, grab. This would have been a big-time victory from both just the standpoint of beating a very good basketball team and how it implicates the standings right there. And they just let it slip right through their fingers. Though the effort down the stretch was disappointing, it looked like this team did not have it, and that just is unacceptable at this stage of the year. This cannot happen based on the context of where they're at in the standings, what this team looks like, what's still in front of them. And I thought all of this circles back to a look yourself in the mirror conversation for the Sixers.
No doubt. I agree with that. Sam, go ahead.
It's one thing to lose to the second best team in the NBA when Wemby's there. It's a whole nother thing when he doesn't play the entire second half, only plays 17 minutes, goes down with an injury, and your offense is still sputtering the way it sputtered in the second half where you couldn't even get to the rim. I mean, forget about everything offensively. They couldn't get to the basket. They were not getting 2 feet in the lane. They were shooting, like Sean said, ridiculous isolation shots, just poor quality looks. And it was like the best defender in the league is off the floor. It's not a bad defense when Wemby's out of the game, but it's around league average in the minutes without Wemby. You have to take advantage of that. So when the circumstances presented themselves where Wemby wasn't going to play in the second half, this became a must win, especially because you have Houston coming up, and you really had to finish the season 3-1, and the last 2 games should be guaranteed wins. But now you have to finish 3-0 to give yourself a chance at missing the play-in.
And by the way, I'll throw in real quick for the bigger conversation of Giannis talking all this about he wants to return. If Giannis returns for the final game against the Milwaukee Bucks right there, like, come on, man. And I do think that's kind of on the table.
Really? Yeah, I mean, we'll see how that one plays out. But Sam, back to you, because I don't want to simplify it when it comes to the X's and O's, but here Wemby goes out, and the defense obviously is taking a huge hit. We know how great Wemby is. Size and length comes down a peg. It looked like it from afar that, again, Joel Embiid balled out, but like, could the Sixers have done something different where it's like, okay, man, we got to change our mentality. It's got to be inside. We need to go ahead and get Joel Embiid down in the block. We got to just because there's nobody down there and you could dominate in that area. Instead, we did just settle for jumper after jumper. It felt like, was that something that falls on Nick Nurse? Should we expect more from the players? Am I just making this a little too simple? What's your thoughts on that?
I think they struggled from 2 pretty early on. I mean, overall in the game, they only shot 42% from 2-point range, which is terrible. So I think they struggled from 2 early on, and that created this situation where they were just settling and jacking and not getting to the rim. But you create quality shots by getting downhill, getting 2 feet in the lane, collapsing the defense, and then kicking and attack closeouts and all that stuff. And that just wasn't happening. It was a lot of one-on-one. It was a lot of settling, and Tyrese Maxey never got going. You guys talked about in the open, he scored 0 points in the first half, which is always partly on him. He deserves blame for that because he is the best player on this team at this point throughout the entire season. So he deserves blame. But at the same time, I saw a lot of possessions where he was playing off the ball, not even touching the rock. There were so many possessions where it was VJ Edgecombe initiating, Paul George initiating, which is fine if he's going to get going. Let Paul George do his thing. But then it was VJ Edgecombe and Embiid pick and roll, Paul George, Embiid pick and roll. It's like Maxey and Embiid are two of the best pick and roll duo combinations in the entire NBA. Why are they consistently not running that action on the empty side? And it just wasn't happening. For whatever reason, there was so many possessions where Maxey didn't even get touches and he was playing off the ball. And they kind of changed that late in the third quarter into the beginning part of the fourth quarter, but it was too little too late then. And Maxey just didn't have it tonight. He looked disinterested. One of the worst Maxey games of the season, considering what was at stake tonight, if we're being honest. It was just all a mess offensively.
Sean, your thoughts on Maxey? What was his big issue in your mind?
Yeah, it almost looked like I don't want to go down the, thinking what's going through his head. I hope it's not the finger issue bothering him again, because he looked like unconfident in regards to like seeking out his shot. Like even in the fourth quarter when this game was still up for grabs, there was a moment where he had Luke Cornett on an island and he deferred to, I think it was Quentin Grimes in the spot. And it's like, that's your moment, man. Like you had a clean 3-point look. And if it's Luke Cornett on you, blow by him, man. Like that's your game. That's the threat that you drive into opponents. If it's the threat of the shot, or I can always beat you downhill. And he chose neither option there. And like that level of him deferring to people just can't happen. We have to be past that at this stage of Tyrese Maxey's career, that you are an alpha on this team. You have to be a guy that is leading the scoring charge. And as far as kind of Sam's other points, I kind of viewed it in the inverse tonight, that I thought the shot selection was poor, and that in itself sort of led to the poor percentages there. I didn't like their concept of getting in things. And then even like when the Wemby issue obviously changed things, and then Cornette got in some foul trouble himself, then they started running a lot of like let's see what we can get Maxey downhill, play him off ball, which I don't disagree with in like theory of if he doesn't have it going, creating advantages with the ball in his hands, then run pin downs for him, use his speed, things like that. But it felt like to me, like at the start of things, I kind of viewed this as, does Stephon Castle just have him in jail? And then the more the game went on, it's like, this is De'Aaron Fox guarding him. This is Harrison Barnes on him right here. And none of it was him attacking these matchups. It's got to be better for Maxey. Like as far as like the shot attempts as a whole, he finished tonight to pull up the full numbers there. He shot the ball 16 times, 6 of 16. It didn't even feel like that much. Like it felt like a very unmemorable like effort to even get these opportunities off, which is really uncharacteristic based on what we've seen this year.
And if we are talking about the Maxey game, Sean mentioned it, but Stephon Castle was phenomenal. I mean, he had a triple-double tonight, 19 points, 10 rebounds, 13 assists. But defensively, he was the primary guy on Tyrese Maxey, and he was locking him up for most of the game. And that should never dissuade the Sixers or Maxey from getting touches and getting into the action just because the Spurs' best on-ball defender is on them, one of the best on-ball defenders in the entire NBA. So that's not an excuse for Maxey not playing well, or Maxey not getting as many touches and into the actions as much as he should have been, especially in the first half. But Stephon Castle on both ends was incredible.
Yeah, as he's been all season long, and that team has been damn good. We know the record. We know what they're capable of. I want to get Sam's thoughts a little bit more in detail before we get out of here. I don't think many people care about the fact that I have a future on the Spurs, and I've been Mr. San Antonio Sean is what they call me on the timeline, actually.
Yeehaw.
For a long time, for a little while now. So we'll see what happens. But
Sean.
Yeah, there he is. Exactly. Me and Chuck. They got blown out points in paint. They got doubled up there, 58-38, not doubled up, but just as close. Yeah, exactly. And then the fast break points were a little lopsided as well, 22-11. No surprise there. Transition defense, we talk about it a lot. I don't know, man. I thought the Spurs shot a little bit better from downtown, but that wasn't the case. we talk about how good of a team that the Spurs are. And I think we saw that. Roy checks in, guys, and please get involved in the conversation for all the people that are out there right now. Sam Ostry from The Score, Sean Bernard does great work over at Crossing Broad, DK Network, all that. I'm Sean Brace, everything rolling along on the 975 The Fanatic. Roy checking in. The Spurs bench is significantly better than the Sixers reserves. Johnson, Harper, and Barnes, although not tonight, are legit good. Meanwhile, we have Quentin Grimes and Justin Edwards. Sean Bernard.
He's right. Like the Spurs have done an excellent job building out this roster around Victor Wembanyama and seeing the success of like stylistically how they can still play without him. As far as like the transition points, that's a clear point of emphasis for this team. They do it a lot and they do it excellent. Like they push the tempo at a really high rate. There were makes that the Sixers would score a basket and the Spurs were beating them down the floor tonight. But they do have this revolving door of talent. Keldon Johnson like took over for a stretch in that game where he was just a bulldog, getting in the paint, getting to wherever he wanted on the floor. When you look down the Sixers roster, it is a bit limited, man. And this is why when we circle back to the whole trade deadline conversation, I had people yelling in my mentions about Jared McCain again today. It's like, it's not just that trade in a vacuum. It's the larger scale of you brought nobody in to help this team. And Campaign obviously now has a pulled hamstring here. But when you look at this roster compared to other competitive teams that are contenders on paper right there, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, that stacks up at the top. When we start getting to the Quentin Grimes and the Justin Edwards and the Adembona and Andre Drummond's right here, that's where you begin to lose me from a roster construction standpoint. And that was a fixable issue that they chose not to do right there. So not to rehash the whole trade deadline conversation, but this team is not as deep as the other teams that they should be in the same tier of.
Sam, yeah, I would say, the big thing for me is we knew what this team was going into the offseason or going into the season. We knew about the all hoopla with Quentin Grimes just failed to live up to the hype, and he was definitely going to have a lot more on his plate than I guess last year, whatever. Last year was a complete, a dud of a season. So who knows? But I thought Grimes there was a lot of expectations on him, of course, and then you move off of McCain. But to Sean, your point, like that's your last opportunity to improve your roster. And Daryl Morey said, "Nah, I'm good. Whatever happened, bottom line is that's how it played out. Nah, I'm good. We're good. We're good. We're content with what we have." And clearly it's just not good enough, man. But, I'm not trying to fool myself into a team that is a championship contender. No, by no means I'm not. But what I am trying to say is like, this is playoff push time, and they need to find a way to win some ball games. And getting blown out by the Detroit Pistons on the back to back, pissed me off. And then now tonight, you don't have Wemby in there. Everything has to change. You got to
it's
attack.
Just no blood in the water.
Yeah.
Like that should have been that's what shifted in my brain of like all of a sudden this is a game that they can absolutely win. And there was none of that like energy, none of that intensity, none of that urgency from the Sixers. And that's been a theme all year is that sense of urgency, that desire. We don't really see that put on display on the court at any sort of regular basis. And tonight was a firm chance where they just blew that opportunity.
Sam, is that wrong to think that, look, no Wemby out there, Sixers have to win this game?
Absolutely, that's the right mindset. When you come out of the second half and you realize Wemby isn't playing, it becomes a must-win because you had to finish the season 3-1 to give you the best chance of avoiding the play-in. We're going to talk about it, but we know how tight this Eastern Conference race is from seeds 5 through 10. And it was really weird, too, because in the first half, I thought the Sixers did a really good job in the non-Wemby minutes of getting to the rim and attacking Luke Cornett at the basket. And that's what every team does against the Spurs. When Wemby's on the floor, we know the entire geometry of the floor shifts and offenses do these U-turns. Guards are getting in the lane. They do these U-turns when they see Wemby potentially rotating over and help because he's that impactful as rim protector. But when he's out of the game, teams are attacking the Spurs at the rim. It's their one opportunity to. And the Sixers were doing that in the first half in the non-Wemby minutes, and I thought they were doing a good job of it, and that's why the game was pretty close at halftime. Then for whatever reason, without Wemby for the entire second half, that approach completely shifted. Maybe the Spurs' ball pressure and a point of attack defense got better. That's certainly a reason you could say, but it's not an excuse for not getting to the rim as infrequently as they did. And they just didn't keep it up to the level they were doing in the first half when Wemby was actually on the bench.
Man, it's just another disappointing game. We've been through a lot of them, but like I said, just with everything that's coming down the stretch here and only 3 games remaining, you just know how important they are. And credit to the broadcast for bringing it up. Since we're all on the up and up here, how could you sit there and say that Like, I don't care. I don't fucking care about back-to-backs anymore. I don't. Like, when there's 6 games left, when there's 5 games left, I don't fucking care about back-to-back. Get out there and play, dude. Play. Like, am I out of my mind that it's just acceptable that JoJo missed that game against the Detroit Pistons and then everything is like, they lost by 20. It's all good. Like, when did this happen? Like, I feel like I'm in Twilight Zone. I get it. In a perfect scenario for the season, you don't want Joel Embiid playing back-to-backs.
Yeah.
But when you have a stretch of games where you can sit him against, he sat against the Wizards. I don't know what took place. Put all that shit to the side. Like, he shouldn't have played in that game. He shouldn't play in the game against the Indiana Pacers on Friday night coming up, if that's on Friday night as well. Like, it's not hard, but he should have played in those back-to-backs. And he's got to, like he balled out today. I guess,
he also didn't even acknowledge like the start of this game.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Like, he got hurt 3 minutes into the second play of the match.
60 seconds into the game, he got hurt.
Yeah.
But is that it? What? Out. Because he's Mr. Glass, you can't play him back-to-backs. Like, dude, it's a playoff push.
Yeah, Sean, I'm with you completely. It came down to, I don't understand why he can't play a back-to-back, but then on a random Monday night, not a random Monday night, but in an important game, he can play 40 minutes, which is what he played tonight, 39 to be exact. So it's like, if you're going to play him, and that's their approach. When we talk about the benches, the Sixers aren't playing a lot of their bench guys because they're really having a playoff rotation. I mean, they're playing 7 guys right now, which is a really, really short bench. And partly because they don't have a lot of guys that Nick Nurse trusts, partly because this is playoff mode. The Sixers have been in playoff mode for a week now. And when the playoffs come, you tighten your rotations. You don't play as many guys. And so they're really just playing Dominic Barlow off the bench if he's not starting over Kelly Oubre, and Quentin Grimes off the bench. And Andre Drummond got a 9-minute stint. And Justin Edwards got a 5-minute stint. I think he should play more. Adem Bona I would like to play, but he didn't play at all tonight. Over Andre Drummond. So these benches are really tight, and that means you're going to be playing your stars, including Joel Embiid, 40 minutes. So if you can play him 40 minutes on a Monday night, why can't you just play him on a back-to-back, a 25 and 20, assuming he feels fine? And I get not doing it all season, like Brace said, but we're in a playoff push right now. Every game is so important, and you can afford losing some of these games. If you had won all these games earlier in the season when you didn't have the urgency you probably needed. And Embiid was not urgent to actually get back on the floor because he probably could have came back earlier than he did, which we all know to be true. So I don't get it. I don't get why he can't play the back-to-backs. I think it's just a mindset of he's never playing a back-to-back for the rest of his career rather than, this is actually going to put him in harm's way.
Well, I mean, so there's a lot to this conversation. There's a lot of factors to this conversation because I think like each situation has, like, for example, Wednesday, I think had nothing to do with his physical illness or physical ability. I think it was directly the organization drawing a line in the sand of, we're not playing you. If you're too sick to go to film, then you're not well enough to play basketball. That was an example of that. As far as the back-to-back conversations, to me, I do think it's in a different category when you're playing back-to-back because it's about the bounce back. It's about how you do recover the next day. And like, that's kind of where Joel, we don't know the answer to. Like, there's a world where we wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden Joel Embiid's knee is swollen up. He's missing 2 weeks. That is on the table. Like, that is a possibility.
Very much so.
And could happen like any given game.
Actually,
whether if he plays back-to-back or not, it doesn't matter. That could happen.
Be more surprised if he plays Thursday than doesn't play Thursday.
Like, I do think I was nervous coming out of halftime. Like, does that thing stiffen up? How does it go? Because like, the reality is they're trying to thread this impossible needle of, we have this flawed star right here that when he's at his best, and tonight he was awesome. Tonight he looked like a top 10 player in the league. Tonight he was dominant on both sides of the floor. But with that is, how often can we get that? How regular can he be on the floor? Can you build a winner around him? And this has always been like the concern with Joel Embiid because he's such a high usage like superstar. You see, it does throw off the flow of some other guys. Like, we didn't see Maxey or Paul George settle in at really any point in this game right here. Paul George was awesome early and just completely disappeared in the second half. But like, I get the frustration. I also kind of have some sympathy to they're trying to thread this impossible needle. And the reality may be like, there's no way for this needle to ultimately get through.
Yeah, no, I think we could get down with that, right? It's just, like I said, you get you only amount of few games left on the schedule, and you got to do the most with them. And they brought it up on the broadcast, and it's like, okay, you know how pro Sixer they are, except when they're playing Tobias Harris and the Spurs or in the Pistons. But you know, it's like, okay,
they snuck Toby on the graphic today too. They showed. I tweeted this out too. You can check my Twitter for it. But they showed the top scorers at halftime. I think this was right in the beginning of the third quarter, and it listed, here we go. Joel Embiid with 31, Victor Wembanyama with 17, Paul George 16, Stephon Castle 13, Keldon Johnson 12, and Tobias Harris with 15. It was at the bottom of that graphic.
Wait. Throughout the entire league or just this game?
Yeah, the graphic was of tonight's game. It was all Spurs and Sixers players, except the last name on that was Tobias Harris.
So that's a troll. That's a straight up troll.
I mean,
a troll directed right at Brace and
very well may be.
Well, yeah, I need to go ahead and check it out. I got to look.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I completely missed
it.
But that's a direct troll.
At 10:55 at night, I hope to God that's not what it is, because like I would absolutely lose my mind and probably not get any sleep. But
I sent it to you guys on Twitter.
It will definitely be brought up tomorrow on the show as the whole Kate and all thing. And if you're a Sixer fan and you weren't pissed off at hearing those comments during the game. Oh, by the way, when the Pistons were up by 19 at the Xfinity Mobile Arena, and Tobias Harris goes off for 1 of 3 from downtown, whatever it was, and I got Ala go, oh yeah, like that's a Sixer fan. I don't know why you'd blow. I'm like, and then Kate go, oh yeah, you put a check in front of me. It's like, dude, just like every once in a while, just shut up and say, you know what, Philadelphia's going to be Philly, and that's it. Keep it moving. You know, I don't like, and they got the situation completely wrong. And if you didn't catch it today, I thought John Marks was very, very strong with his take and on point.
I try to not be the if you're not from here or if you didn't grow up with this, you don't get it. But like the Tobias situation itself is one of those where you kind of had to see out from start to finish. And like when. Again,
it was 5 long seasons, brother.
Right. And like the whole sequence of like the trade for him, the contract talks, all these things, like it's all a part of this reaction. Like people, we talked through the Tobias thing, you and I, Brace. People have a right to boo him, man. Like they do. Like absolutely. Yeah. Like I get it. I can't be mad at that from a Sixers fan perspective. And just sticking up for the dude, I don't know. It was all bizarre.
It's also not even a Philly thing. And I know a lot of people are making it out to be like, this is what Philly does, and it's absolutely what they do. I think any fan base who cares even a little bit about their sports
team 0 points
will boo a guy who was there for 5.5 years and was largely universally accepted as a disappointment based on his contract. And that's kind of how you weigh expectation of how much is this guy getting paid and how much is he worth to the team. And he was disappointment. I think any organization within any city would boo a guy in that circumstance. There's nothing else to it.
And then to have those two on the broadcast just go, I don't know why they would boo. They're like, come on, dude. Like, what are we doing right now? Oh, by the way, and correct me if I'm wrong on this real quick, as we'll put a bow on the Tobias conversation. But like, I know it happened a little bit more vocally in the third quarter, and that's when they pulled away, and that's where they were up by double digits, and that's when the game got upside down.
And him talking back.
Yeah, well, so in the first half, I don't remember like the boos being that loud towards Tobias. Maybe in the first quarter, whatever, but it felt like in the third quarter they were definitely elevated due to the fact of how the game was playing out.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think Toby sort of egged it on. And by the way, like Tobias has a right to do that too.
Good for him.
I have no issue with Tobias doing that. If you just took your lumps for 5 years here, you're allowed to give it back, and if you feel that way, and he has a right to feel that way. Like I'm sure he feels in his heart that he got a bum rap here, and really, and in a lot of ways, there's some truth to that. He was a scapegoat for some of this thing. There's absolutely truth to that. But
I can get down with the fact that we don't know everything. I don't know about a scapegoat, but I can get down with the fact that we don't know how everything played out behind the scenes.
Yeah, I guess I also don't think anybody I don't think it was a scapegoat. I don't think anybody is blaming him completely for the Sixers' disappointment over that 5-year stretch. I just think he himself was a disappointment, and it's hard to overcome paying someone that much money. And I had a friend who was sitting courtside at that Pistons game, and he said he was chirping Tobias Harris the entire night, like relentlessly. And he said in the third quarter, he turned around to him and said he sounded like his wife and told him to shut up. He was feeling himself.
Was it your boy with the one picture that you sent me the one time?
I don't know what you're talking about, but I don't
Remember
know.
The
the
lady
image,
sitting
and I
next to
said the
him?
girl, she seems like she's a ball of fun.
Oh, no.
No.
It's not
Sam's
that
got
one.
multiple people that sit front row. That's just Sam Ostry from The Score. Cousin Nikki, check it in. You should have Alla on. I am actually an Alla fan. I am. I don't mind him. I'm not even sitting here and telling you that I don't care to go down this road right
Them
now.
together.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. There's just too much yuckity yuck.
Yeah.
And I'm not cursing again because I already did my 2 F-bombs. But if I hear one more conversation about chicken in the fourth quarter, I'm out, dude. It's an in-arena promotion. It should stay for the fans. I don't want to see it on my TV screen every game, every home game in the fourth quarter. Bricking for chicken takes over the conversation because those two yuck it up and they don't know it's like, all right, dude.
I didn't know
All
Brace
right.
was anti-bricking for chicken. That's new news to me.
Yeah,
It's just being shoved down at the throat is, I think,
Yeah.
Brace's problem with it.
And it always comes back to the fact that when the team struggles,
Sure.
you take it out on all the other nonsense.
And I'll say, like, I hit my peak or my, I guess, biggest frustration point when it was the dreadful season that set us up to get VJ. When it's like this team's getting lumped night in and night out, and it's be like 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they're down 25, and it's like, well, Sixers coach string together a couple stops, and you never know what could happen. I was like, come on, man. Like, don't lie to us either.
Read the room. Yeah, I know that's the whole announcer, trick where we don't want to lose you. It's like, shut up, dude. Just let the game play out. Have some fun. All right. Speaking of fun, let's look at the standings. What do you say here, Sam? Take us through the path and what we have for the 76ers as far as the 3 remaining games. And what do you see here? What's in your crystal ball? Where are we at as far as the Sixers and how this end of the regular season is going to play out in your mind?
Yeah, so all the results have wrapped up for the night in the Eastern Conference. So how it stands right now is the Raptors are the 5 seed. The Hawks. The Hawks are the 5 seed.
About to say.
The Raptors are the 6 seed. Sixers are the 7 seed. They're a half a game behind the Raptors. And the Hawks are 2 games now ahead of the Sixers. So it seems very unlikely that the Sixers are going to catch the Hawks. And then the Sixers, the Hornets, and the Magic all have the same record, and they're 7, 8, 9. Now, the Sixers own the tiebreaker over the Hornets and the Magic. So as long as
the Raptors.
Yes. But so as long as the Sixers have the same record or better than the Hornets or Magic, they'll be ahead of them. They also own the tiebreaker over the Raptors, so they need to at least get the same record as them. And as we go through the rest of the season, the matchups, the Sixers obviously have who do they have on the
Houston.
Yeah, the Rockets on Thursday. And then they got the Bucks and the Pacers to close out the season on Friday and Sunday. So that has to be a minimum 2-1. It should be 3-0 because I don't think the Rockets are that good. Sixers already beat them earlier this year. The Raptors schedule is a little more difficult, where they have the Heat twice, who are also in this play-in mix, and then they have the Knicks and then the Nets. So you would assume they'd be the Nets. Other than that, they might go 2-2. And if they go 2-2 and the Sixers go 3-1, then the Sixers are going to get that 6 seed and avoid the play-in. But it's really going to come down to the Raptors and the Sixers. And as long as Sixers go 3-1, I think they'll be 3-0. I think they'll be in a good spot.
3-0, Sean Menard. Yeah, it's possible. I get it, but do they want it?
It's fair. I think 2-1 gets the job done too, to be perfectly honest. That, like, I think my assessment here, what I would guess how things play out from Toronto's perspective, I think they split against Miami, they lose to the Knicks and beat the Nets. That would be what I expect from down the stretch here. And that's a fine outlook from the Sixers perspective right here. I want the 6th seed, man. I want this Knicks team first round, but I do think that team is flawed. I don't want the fifth seed. I don't want to play the Cleveland Cavaliers. I want this team to get the 6th seed. They still got to take care of business on their end, and they can do that. Tonight was a hit to that. This would have been a great one to have in the pocket right here, but it doesn't really change too much in the grand scheme of things. But this is still a look yourself in the mirror moment. That they have things that they have to fix based on how they played tonight. Absolutely.
What does Joel Embiid do tonight? I'm just curious, right? Like, because he is, I don't know, he is bullseye number 1, right? When you need somebody to point the finger at, and he's still going to get
tonight. He should not be tonight.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. Like, if
it's
you watch,
it's Maxey
tonight.
If you
And
watch,
Paul George, man, we've been too light on Paul George on this post game. I don't think he attempted a shot in the fourth quarter. I need to fact check myself on that, but I'm pretty sure he did not attempt a shot in the fourth quarter.
He's been so good for the last 6 games, though, where he might get a pass.
Yeah, well, it felt like the Spurs played crazy defense in that second half, and they were in their face a lot. And not to say that like taking Paul George off the hook, but like you can't place blame on Joel Embiid for this loss tonight. However, post game heading into the locker room, does Joel Embiid does he say something? Like, how does this play out in that locker room? Does he not
probably
say
in the MRI room, Brace?
Like, can Joel Embiid voice his frustration? Do you think he does?
I would like him to. This is
you can't voice your frustration when you're the guy who misses.
That's a great point.
And film sessions, and you're getting called out as of last season for being late to team activities. You can't be the guy. Him being the leader and the adult in the room, we are way past that.
You can when he gave him 34 and 12, Sam Ostry, that you can when he's still, like, tonight was a top 5 player in the NBA. That is how good he performed tonight.
It's never really been about how good he is. It's been about his availability and his maturity. Like that, we know how good he is. We always have.
But all that goes out the window with only these few remaining games. And what's at stake, man? If you want postseason play, you got to win these games, right? Like, so Joel Embiid, I want him to go in there and be like, yo, what is going on, guys? Let's go. But am I in this la land that even happens? I think that's Sam's point. I probably am.
I think for what it's worth, like my prediction here is certainly not that Joel Embiid walked in the locker room guns a-blazing. I would love to hear that he did. I do believe that you have every right to do that when you're the best player on the team. Though, if you can drop 34 and 12 and look like the best player on the floor while Victor Wembanyama was still on it, you have every right to call out guys in the locker room. That has not been historically what we've heard about Joel Embiid right here, but from my view, that's what earned you a seat at the table. The guys that are that good can get away with whatever they want, and Joel Embiid has gotten away with whatever he wants to this point in his career. I also don't necessarily agree with the stance of the best player has to be the leader. In an ideal world, for sure, but I do think that there's guys that should be able to step up as vocal leaders. Tyrese Maxey about all the right stuff. Other guys that should be more vocal in the locker room right there. It's not perfect. The Sixers are trying to make it work. Threading the needle once again. That's the attempt.
To your first point, I left a voicemail on the midday show with Brace and Marks. I don't know if it was played, but
it was played. It was great.
So my whole point was right up against what you were saying, Bernard, which is Embiid does not deserve that star status treatment anymore.
But he does. He still is.
No, because you can't play that few games and then get the star status treatment. You just can't. You can't be a superstar in the league playing 30 to 35 games a year. You don't deserve that anymore. You just don't deserve to tell the team I'm missing shoot around and then expect to play later in that game. He doesn't deserve the treatment that Steph Curry and some of these other guys get. He just doesn't deserve that leniency.
How many games Steph Curry play this year?
That's a little bit different. You got 4 championships. Talk to me then.
Yeah, it's true. Very true. Very true. Well, like I said, if you watch this game and you're fair, you can't place blame on Joel Embiid. I thought maybe in the second half you could have got a little bit more, but I think that comes back to Nick Nurse more than anything as far as direction, offense, slowing it down. And again, I might be just simplifying it. That was their 60th win, man. This team has had, oh my God, this team has had win streaks that have just been ridiculous. I know Saturday, it seems like as they might be the kryptonite for OKC. Denver is the kryptonite for San Antonio. They can't put them away. That's the big thing is the Nuggets have been able to outlast them in 2 of the last games, and it's been great battles. Hopefully we do get that in the NBA playoffs. But I'll still take the Spurs in a 7-game series against the Nuggets. I'll take the Spurs in a 7-game series against OKC, man, but I'll be grinding my teeth on that one. That's gonna be a tough one. But Sam Ostry, have you not seen enough to believe in this Spurs team, or you're still just hanging on to the fact that you know what, you got to take your lumps in postseason?
That's been my whole point, and really anything they do in the regular season doesn't matter to me because it's all about the postseason experience and going through the playoff scars. And it's a tired talking point at this point, but I'll give a big fat I told you so to you guys and everybody when it comes and they lose in the second round to either the Nuggets or the Thunder. It'll probably be the Nuggets, or it'll definitely be the Nuggets. I think.
Hope it's not the Thunder. They're 1-2.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the Thunder. It would be
Yeah.
it would be the Nuggets, assuming the Nuggets stay in that 3 range, but that's up for grabs too. And look, it is impressive how good this Spurs team is without Wemby. And we saw that tonight. Is defensively they were still really good, and they found a way to score. And Dylan Harper was really good. They're the only playoff team in the NBA that has 8 guys averaging double figures. Think about that. That's unbelievable. 8 guys averaging 10 or more points. They're the deepest team in the league, deeper than OKC even. And all that matters for the playoffs. But what matters even more is you have to have experience in the postseason. And none of those guys, Wemby, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, who are going to be crucial to any playoff series, none of those guys have a lick of playoff experience. Even De'Aaron Fox has only played in 1 playoff series. So, yeah, you can say the Luke Cornets has won a championship with the Celtics, and Harrison Barnes, who got benched by this team.
Stephon Castle, national champion. He's played in big games.
It's a little different. By the way, I think Michigan just wrapped up the title. But it's a little different when you're playing in college than you're playing in a 7-game series. The physicality, the intensity, the game plans, the defensive coverages. It just you can't actually have success in it until you've experienced multiple series, and the Thunder even didn't. And that's why my whole thing is, doesn't matter how good they are in the regular season, the playoffs are a different beast.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
We'll see.
I would like to phrase it this way, Sam. Does your perspective on that change at all with Victor Wembanyama? Because I do think what he's been through, being an overseas guy, growing up in France, being a chosen one since he was like 10 years old, I kind of think that throws him in a different tier for this conversation. This is not a dude going from, playing a bunch of college guys that are going to be selling cars and, working as accountants moving forward. This is a guy that's been playing professional since he was a boy, basically. Does that change your view at all?
I think it does individually. I'm not going to say Wemby's going to have a bad postseason. I mean, Luka Doncic was playing at a really high level in Europe at age 14 years old. So I do think that helps those guys. Yeah. So I definitely think it helps those guys as they come into the postseason. The problem is it's not just about Wemby. I also think there are coverages and certain matchups that Wemby is going to struggle offensively against. And when you put some of these smaller guards up into him, you can get more physical in the postseason, and you can kind of have a 5-man, a center shadow around. I think that kind of negates some of his impact. And I could see Wemby settling a little bit and shooting too many jumpers that then we'd like to see him shoot. And I think that's going to come from a learning experience. So, yeah, Wemby is a different beast. He's a unicorn. He's going to figure out quicker than most do in the postseason, but it's not going to happen this year. And by the way, let's hope Wemby's healthy, right?
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Fine.
Oh, man. That looked like
I think he's fine. It
was a rib.
They called it a rib injury. You guys think that was an actual injury?
He was wincing. He was definitely in pain.
Well, I'll put it this way. I think there's a far higher chance Joel Embiid misses the next game than Victor Wembanyama does.
Did you see Austin Reeves 6 weeks with an oblique?
Yeah. And Luka. The Luka thing's kind of nuts.
Well, I bring it up just because of the oblique, and it's 6 weeks. And I was like, damn. I walked it back, and I did apologize. I put it out there on the air that maybe I might have been a little too harsh. However, bring it back to the video against OKC where he looked fine in the pregame warmup. Like, he should have played in that game. I don't give a damn. I just don't give a damn anymore. And the fact that he doesn't play in these games, it ruins what we saw tonight for me as the Sixer fan. It's a build around VJ Edgecombe, Sean Bernard. Build around 77.
It's a lose-lose spot for the Joel Embiid conversation, because when he plays and he looks great like he did tonight, then all of a sudden it's, why can't he play back-to-backs? Why can't he be out there every game? And then at the same time, if he's going to be playing every single minute of every single game, he's going to get hurt. And then the first thing that comes out is all the play every game. If he's not healthy for the playoffs, he's got to be healthy for the playoffs. If you want him healthy for the playoffs, then you got to let him get rest and actually get there. So,
Sean, he's not going to be healthy for the playoffs if he doesn't play more than 3 games in a row for 3 straight months.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way this guy gets through a playoff series. You have to play 7 straight games to get through a playoff series against the Knicks. That has to happen. What was the last time this guy played 7 straight games? Can you tell me?
I got
this
the
year
idea.
He definitely did. This year he did.
I got an idea.
4 months ago.
Next year, we put all our eggs in the open cup basket. That's it. And we go for that title.
Would you raise a banner?
Yeah. There's another F-bomb free, all right? Put it up, dude. Yes, and especially if our approach is, you know what? We're going to sit Joel Embiid in October. We're going to get this bad boy ready to go for December. Open cup run. Like, I don't care about anything. Maybe we need to put a little bit more stock into the regular season. I don't know. When
Respect the
everybody's
cup.
thinking we're zagging, yeah, respect the cup. I give up. I'm cursing tonight and everything. I'm so frustrated. I'm so, and I care too much, and maybe that's the problem with me. I think any Sixer fan that cares a little bit too much at this point in time needs our header checked. But look, then you put on the timeline, you see guys like Tim Legler, who Tim knows more ball than all three of us included, and he was even singing the song of like, "Well, they put it together. Watch out!" And it's like, fuck, man. I just cursed again. You got Tim Legler of all people thinking
that's the thing. They don't understand. And Tim Legler actually is a Philly guy. He's the best in the business by far.
Super.
LaSalle. He went to LaSalle. But the national media doesn't understand the collective pain of Sixers fans and Philly as a whole, where they don't understand that everybody here knows this thing's ending in disappointment. And as much as we kind of tell ourselves in the back of our head that, if they put it together, if they're completely healthy for the playoffs, we all know how this thing is ending. But from the national media's perspective, you just see the talent on the floor and like, whoa, that starting five, that top six, that's as good as any in the East. So I get why they're saying that, but we all know how it's ending.
I certainly do not think the Joel Embiid playoff shortcomings are lost in the national media. I do not think that is a topic that slips through their fingers there. But I get what you're saying. I think this team is going to beat the Knicks in the first round, man. It's not going to end in a championship,
man,
but I still do think that. Who is better about it?
Frame McRib checking him.
Did you like my tweet today? Did you like my tweet?
I did. Yeah. I loved your tweet. And by the way, that first comment from shout out to Frame McRib, they're 18-32 versus teams over 500. Throw that stat out the window because you know what a lot of those games happen.
Joel Embiid doesn't play.
Correct. Without their stars, without Paul George.
No, but let me give you another stat. They're 4-5 against the top 10 teams in the East when all three of Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George play. That's under 500.
It's not as simple as snapping your fingers and just turning this on. And they're not they're not good enough. Like the Spurs are good. You saw that. Like they're in your face. They want it. They run some decent different sets and get easy shots. And they had
by the way,
they're a good team.
Their coach is a disadvantage to them when you're matching up everything with whoever they play in the playoffs or the play-in or however it shakes out, and you're going, who is the coaching edge? Every time it's going to be disadvantaged Sixers because of Nick Nurse. We're at that point. We're baffling decisions every single game, including playing Andre Drummond for as long as he did tonight and not going to a Dembona. It's just every game. I will not, and no Sixers fan should trust Nick Nurse to push the right buttons because he's consistently pushed the wrong ones. So that's a disadvantage in the Sixers' favor.
All right. Wrapping it up. McRib is having some fun with us here, and I'm miserable. And I tomorrow, I'm not going to yell about Joel Embiid. Like, I'm not going to yell about Joel Embiid. I'm frustrated with Maxey. I'm frustrated with Nick Nurse. I'm frustrated with Daryl Morey and this roster, and Paul George takes a little bit of a chunk, but I was joking in game. Like, I need to find something good to grasp onto. And man, VJ Edgecombe is a ton of fun to watch. He's he is playing defense. He is he's courageous in those spots to pull up. He's got a great shot on him. He's capable of 35, 38 or whatever it was this year. Like I need to latch on the good. I really do. And 77 is that dude for me. So that's how I'm going to approach these next few games. Next game, though, for us, Thursday, Rockets, 8 p.m. Then they go back-to-back Friday as well with the Pacers. And we close up shop Sunday at 6 p.m. with the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll put a bow on this one here. Sam Ostry from The Score. You can go ahead first, sir.
They have to go 3-0 the rest of the way. And really, it's just the Rockets that it comes down to the rest of the season. I mean, the Bucks, even if Giannis plays 10 minutes, I don't know what the point of that would be. But the Bucks and Pacers, those would be colossally bad losses. I expect them to win those games. We're not just looking at will they beat the Rockets. We're looking at will Embiid be healthy and play, and how much will they play? Will Nick Nurse be willing to go more deep into his bench? Because if you do have to play in the play-in, that's a pretty quick turnaround from Sunday to a potential Tuesday or Wednesday game. So this, at all costs, whatever you have to do on Thursday has to be a win over the Houston Rockets. And yeah, they're a good, talented team. Talk about urgency and a team that has bad body language and bad vibes around them. That's the Rockets. So I think it will be a Sixers win, but it better be a Sixers win.
Is that the playing game? It's home court, correct? It's obviously
the 7. Yeah.
All right. Sean Menard, put a ball on it.
Yeah, my final thoughts for tonight is I'm pretty puzzled by Tyrese Maxey still. That this is probably the most confused I felt after watching a Tyrese Maxey game, and very uncharacteristic of him. I can give him this one to throw away, but this really can't happen pretty much ever again, and certainly not this season right there. It's a bummer. This one's a L they got to wear on the chin, and a game that I did think that they had a chance to win if they'd executed down the stretch. A lot of stuff that just straight up was not good enough tonight, but the bottom line is the goals are still in front of them right here. As it is take care of business down the stretch. Root against the Raptors for every single game from here on out. And we'll be signing up for a Knicks versus Sixers series. That is still where my head was at coming in today. And give me the Sixers in 6 in that series. That's where I'm at, Sean Brace.
You're too positive.
Sign me up for the Knicks, man. That team is not good. They are not good.
They just beat the Hawks. They're pretty good, right?
Yeah, they're similar tier of team, I would say.
Yeah, I think that series would be way more interesting than people might realize. Other than Bernard, who obviously would take the Sixers, you don't want to play the Knicks. The Knicks are still the better team. They'd probably be like a minus 180 favorite in the
Would you rather play the Knicks or the Celtics or Pistons, man?
Oh, easily
Pistons
the Knicks.
without Kate.
I wouldn't. I straight up wouldn't. I would play the Knicks over the Pistons without Kate still.
Nah, the Knicks are still talented. And look, this is a beatable series if the Sixers end up playing the Knicks. It's not like the Knicks are going to boat race them. The Knicks do not look good. And
Knicks are getting disrespected, though, man. People are saying the Hornets could beat them in a 7.
They could. Series. They definitely could. They for sure could. I would take the Hornets in that. I'm telling you, this Knicks team is not.
You would take a JV basketball team in Center City, Philadelphia to beat the Knicks in a series.
Well, I mean,
well said.
I'm just saying the Knicks are not good, man. They're not. They're a fraudulent team.
I don't think they're going. Like 3 months ago, we talked all the time, and I was telling you guys this team is going to the NBA Finals. I don't think that anymore about the Knicks, but I think they would still beat the Sixers.
Who's going to the East from the East? Celtics.
Celtics, yeah. I got.
Yeah, that's where I'm at as well. I think all of us are there as well. All right. Well, this was a good, fun episode, boys. We'll be back doing it again on Thursday night, and need to go 3-0. That's my big takeaway from this episode here. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your evening. Phillies are currently down 4-2. Bryce Harper has 2 doubles. Michigan is your national championship. Your boy cashed in on that one from a November ticket. Bang, bang. Back tomorrow, 10-2, Monday through Friday on 97.5 of The Fanatic. Everybody talk to you.